Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a dream come true for any lifelong FF7 fan. From characters and locations, to music, story beats, and minigames, it takes every little nugget from the original 1997 classic and turns it into a delicious meal. One of my favorite sections of the whole experience is the Junon parade sequence, where Cloud and the crew go undercover as Shinra soldiers, in an attempt to get some face time with the newly inaugurated President Rufus. This was fun back in '97, but Rebirth's version of these events is packed with charm, intrigue, and mounting tension that builds to an awesome climax. After Cloud flukes his way into becoming captain of the 7th Infantry, he's tasked with rounding up the soldiers in his unit. Soaking up the ambiance of the bars, shops, and promenades of Junon while searching for your troops is a delight. I don't think this is an intentional reference, but it reminds me of running around Alexandria Castle as Steiner at the beginning of Final Fantasy IX, rallying the Knights of Pluto who are all avoiding doing their jobs in various amusing ways. Similarly, the soldiers of the 7th Infantry are lovable dunces. Whether they're debating the poetic value of the Sister Ray, posing for photos, or partying with their bald brethren, they're all so caught up in their own things that they're oblivious to the fact that their captain is standing right in front of them. It's been theorized that the 7th will become either your submarine crew or airship crew in the 3rd game, and that feels like a perfect fit. These guys are super endearing. The way they instantly trust and respect Cloud is just so sweet and wholesome. What I love most about this chapter is how it rewards you for taking your time and exploring the city. Being thorough doesn't earn you weapons, items, or gil, but rather something far more valuable: memorable moments. The Bald Bar, for example, is an absolute standout. In the original FF7, the Turks hang out in a cool underground bar. This time around, we see Rude stop into the Glabrescent Bar, where no scalp means no service. Although he doesn't go through with it, the thought of Cloud shaving his glorious spiky hair to fit in is an amazing image. Rebirth's ability to surprise you with unexpected incidents like this make it so genuinely funny. And there are tons of these little encounters sprinkled throughout town. Elena drinking away her sorrows, Barrett initially embarrassed but ultimately feeling himself, and rightly so, in his sailor suit, Red being annoyed by the kids trying to pet him, even this weird soldier who relishes shirking his duty. I could hang out in Junon all day. It's the kind of area that you scour just to make sure you don't miss a single thing. Rebirth is a fun-loving experience that mostly just wants to make you smile. At the same time, there's always a serious undercurrent that prevents the game's lightheartedness from becoming frivolous. The fraught relationship between Rufus and Glenn isn't one of Rebirth's strongest elements. We just don't spend enough time with Glenn to really know him or grow to care about him. And the rising tension between Shinra and Wutai feels mostly like setup for a storyline that will presumably be paid off in the 3rd game. That said, the confrontation between these two guys brings no small amount of intrigue, suspense, and mystery to the table. Glenn is a new character to the world of Final Fantasy VII, introduced in the spin-off games The First Soldier and Ever Crisis. I haven't played either of them, so I knew nothing about him coming into Rebirth. Honestly, I still don't know much about Glenn, but I do enjoy the political intrigue at play here. He arrives as an emissary of Wutai, and essentially strong-arms Rufus into provoking a war. It's always cool to see different sides of a character, and Glenn brings out aspects of Rufus that we seldom see. He's typically so cold, confident, and calculated, but this meeting leaves him frazzled and on the defensive. Through both Remake and Rebirth, there's been a lot of setup for the coming war between Shinra and Wutai. I'm interested to see how the 3rd and final game incorporates this new storyline into the existing narrative. Glenn isn't the only wildcard in play. Whether you've recruited her or not, Yuffie has no meaningful role in the original game's Junon section. This time though, she's on a mission to assassinate Rufus. Our team is actively pursuing a face-to-face meeting with the man, so we're on a collision course. When the moment of truth arrives, Rufus vows to let Cloud and the others go free on one condition: that they kill Sephiroth. It's hard to know whether he's genuinely offering a truce, or merely trying to manipulate our heroes into doing his bidding. I'm leaning towards the former, but ultimately it doesn't matter, because Yuffie's surprise attack scuppers any potential alliance. The building tension finally explodes into an action set piece, and escape through the city as Shinra's troops pursue the mystery assassin. It's such a cool touch to have the 7th Infantry fighting at your side. It helps to further build that sense of camaraderie between Cloud and his men. And of course, it all culminates in a boss fight against Roche. The underground Fight Club vibes and wonderful jazzy soundtrack create a dramatic setting that perfectly fits Roche's bombastic personality. He's a clear example of the remake project going so much harder than it needs to, in the best possible way. Roche brings an over-the-top sense of fun, a ridiculousness, and ultimately, as I touched upon in a previous video, an affecting payoff that absolutely justifies his inclusion. The remake trilogy doesn't need Roche, but it would be ever so slightly worse without him. Another reason the clash with Roche works so well is that this part of the game doesn't rely too heavily on action. It lets you take your time and leisurely enjoy the pre-parade atmosphere, so the action-packed finale feels extra exciting because you haven't fought in a while. I've spoken many times in past videos about how highly I value variety, especially in RPGs. Even if you have an excellent battle system, which Rebirth undeniably does, fighting can become routine and even boring when it's the only thing you do. Via puzzles, minigames, or in this case, exploring a city and having meaningful character interactions, it's absolutely possible to have extended periods without combat that still remain fun and engaging. Both Remake and Rebirth execute this concept very well. Character, charm, humor, tension, intrigue, mystery, action. The Junon parade sequence has everything I look for in video games. It bottles the goofiness that's such a core component of the original FF7's identity, but in keeping with Rebirth's maximalist approach, it pushes everything even further. Yet incredibly, it all fits into a relatively compact chapter. There's no bloat here at all. From the second Cloud and the team arrive to Upper Junon, everything serves a purpose. It really is a perfect piece of RPG game design.
I'm busy being sad.